Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Community Development Agency meeting. Say August the 15th is 35 p.m. Thank you very much. The meeting is now called to order. Town clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, Director Mack,
Here.
Director Daniels, Director Critton,
Here.
Director Gardner,
Here.
Vice Chair Williams,
Present.
and Chair Randolph.
Here.
And just for the record, Director Washington is supposed to connect by Zoom. Okay. He's not connected as of yet.
Yes. But if some reason that he's not connected, he is excused.
Yeah, he's out of town.
Yes. Okay, we have the invocation and pledge allegiance. Let's all stand, please. For solid meditation. Thank you. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, citizens' participation.
We have one, Angela Johnson.
Johnson.
They got to speak chair, board members, staff, residents. I just want to bring your attention, when you meet back for the discussion of your bylaws, when you were going through the different ones, bring your attention to page 29, you actually skipped 2.8 and 2.9 with some additions on that particular draft. And there was another. And I'm glad you asked Attorney Shepherd, because I think you're being an expert in the area of CRA administration, legal, where you have asked that question, what are the best practices for the CRA around the state? And maybe just been indicative and try to like hone in on that expertise and just to get some guidance. As a member of the community, a lot of your meetings, it's very challenging when items are walked onto the agenda and they are not in the online packet to be able to, I practice some myself. So it's very challenging to not have the information as a resident, as a citizen that wants to be intimately involved in the process and the business that's going on. So I'm not sure if that's a comment that goes back to the mayor and the administration and oversight, that if we could please have information available online, if things are being walked on, do the community a favor and have some physical copies available, please. And the point of clarification that is the CRA, kind of in the budget, for the budget cycle, was it in the time?
The budget for the, yeah, it said it was in the packet last time.
Oh, it was in the packet when,
The budget for the upcoming year?
yes.
Yes, it was in the packet.
And that is, in that budget workshop was council members only, is the CRA board not involved in the budget process for the CRA?
Sure.
Questions?
we should go a week. The
Yes.
CRA has to approve the budget. And then it's a part of, it's submitted to the town's budget makers. But the CRA has to approve their own budget.
And on what day would CRA have a study workshop?
I have put it in there. Thank you.
We have no more. That was it.
Anyone else?
No, that was it.
Okay, that was it.
Yes.
Okay, next, the consent agenda. The approval of the CRA board minutes of June 20th. So, is there a motion?
Second.
Second was moving second. Okay, any discussions or questions? If not, all those in favor? Okay, any opposed? No, consent agenda has been approved. Next, we will have the presentation and discussion on the hiring practices of the town hiring by Mrs. Washington.
Board.
I'm just here just to do a short PowerPoint on the process of hiring.
Excuse me, Mrs. Washington, I failed to mention, this is on the CRA director.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
Okay. Yes.
Chair. Chair, can I say something? Attorney Shepherd, make sure you use your microphone, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Go to the next slide. So tonight, we're going to discuss recruitment and sourcing, candidate screening and selection, interviewing process, job offer, and one word. So recruitment and sourcing. As you know that the town is now using NeoGov, which connects with governmentjobs.com. The position was posted for 30 days from July 8th to August 9th. As you can see, the position was posted on Florida League of Cities, Indeed, LinkedIn, and FRA websites. We had 394 hits on our town career page, which sourced 25 applications. I'm sorry, that's a little small. But I can read it for you. So the importance of candidate screening and selection. The first one is objectivity and fairness. And so with that, you reduce the bias by focusing on specific criteria, scoring matrices minimizes personal bias and preferences, and has consistent evaluations that ensure all candidates are assessed using the same standards. Data-driven decisions, quantifiable data, that provides numerical data for hiring decisions rather than relying solely on gut feelings. Comparative analysis enables us to easily compare all candidates based on their score. So improved communication. Shared criteria clearly outlines the desired qualifications and skills for the role. Common language provides shared language for discussing candidates and their strengths. Efficient hiring practices. It saves time by speeding up the decision-making process by streamlining the candidate evaluation. Focus on competencies helps interviewers stay focused on the most important qualifications. Legal compliance. The documentation provides evidence of a fair and unbiased hiring process, reducing the risk of legal challenges. Enhance transparency demonstrates a structured and professional approach to hiring. And we get faster feedback by candidates because they get the feedback quicker in the evaluation process. So the interview process. So in preparation for the interview, I'm going to give with the chair to source questions. Best practices for interviews, are a panel interview, so the interviewer, the candidate will interview in front of the board as a whole. We will have a set of questions that will be asked by the panel, and each question will be consistent with each candidate. So you have a set of questions that we will ask each candidate. If there are follow-up questions, that's fine, and that's, you know, because every person and every candidate experience is different, and qualifications may be different, so there are follow-up questions that you want to ask candidates, that's fine, but the basis and the base question that we're gonna ask will be for each candidate. And so we will go equally. If we have 10 questions, we will equal it out, so each board member can ask questions to each candidate. Once we you know, do the interview, we will do a short introduction of yourself to the candidate, so they'll know a little bit background about you. Like I said, you will have key competency questions established beforehand. So if you have questions that you want to ask, please email those questions so I can put those on the list. So we can, you know, have those predetermined. We will give the candidate the opportunity to ask questions at the end of the event and end of the interview, and then we'll explain the follow-up process and the time that goes along with that. I ask that board members evaluate each candidate independently. And so once there's an interview, you will have a scoring sheet for that interview, and you will fill those out. Then I will link those at the chair. So after that, in the interview process, like I said, we had 25 applications, and I believe I just gave each board member a set of, I want to say 16 applicants. Once I score those, I will come up with 5 of the highest scores. And then if you know, if it depends on the board how you want to do, but we will interview the 5 highest scores for the position. Once that is done and the board you tally up the scoring sheets, then you know the board can discuss how they want to go and who they want to give a conditional offer to. The conditional offer is just like an offer letter, but they will not start until all the conditions are met. So that is drug testing, background checks, verification of employment, verification of education. And once that is all met, then the process will start and the board can, you know, select the start date. That is a big overview.
So you said how many 16 that we have here, you gonna narrow it down to 5.
Yes.
And then go to 5.
I asked before about VA, for service.
So there is VA preference, yeah, so there is VA preference, and this is why the scoring sheets are so important, so we can score those correctly. If that person meets, the criteria, then something will get it.
Okay, I have a question. We have another date, oh, I see, I'm sorry, I
Yes.
see it down
So,
Thursday. So
yes.
when we return this on August 22nd, that's
That's next Thursday.
next Thursday.
Yes,
We turn these in to you.
yes.
Okay.
Good question. You want the questions? You have the questions, and you want to turn those questions, you know, take a week to think over the questions and have the questions written down, that would be great.
Question, is this going to be the normal practice for hiring executive director from now on? And since you're in HR, is it going to be is it going to be your hiring practice from now on?
Practice. For tests.
All right.
All
And your,
positions.
okay,
Thank you.
and your top 5 will be based on the numbers?
Based on the numbers that.
I'm so glad that we do have a format or guidelines to go through, because I think it weeds out any issues that may have not been done correctly. And so we have a process in place, and that's something that I really like. I thank you for putting this together. Thank you. Now, what is your anticipated timeframe that you maybe can assess when this whole process will be over at some point?
I would love, optimistically for, the next CRA meeting, that the board is, confirming. So that is fast case, and that is, of course, up to the board's availability to meet today to, and to interview, I'm sorry. So like I said, I am hoping to have this done and have, the board confirm someone by the next CRA meeting, which is, I don't have my phone in this, so I don't know the exact date of the third Thursday in September. But with the matrix, the scoring matrix being done and turned into me next Thursday, that gives me time, to score and to come up with the 19. And so it depends on the board schedule and how fast we can get interviews done. Okay. But that's the goal.
No questions? All right, thank you, Mrs. Washington. Okay, next we have board decisions, and I just want to bring this to your attention. On the board decision, since we did not address number 3 in the workshop, I would like to strike this from the agenda and bring this back the next time, since we did not do a workshop on this item. We need to put that to a vote.
The table.
Or we can table. Okay, we can table this until the next meeting.
You have to put a motion.
Need a motion
So
to table number 3 for. There's been moving second. Any discussions, question in a second? Yes. Discussion. And if not, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposes? Okay. Table this. Number 3, number 4. Termination resolution, CRA 2023-2 and the interlocal agreement. Mrs. King, read the preamble, please.
Yes, and this is for clarity, resolution CRA-R 2024-30. A resolution of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, terminating resolution CRA-R 2023-2 and the interlocal agreement between the TOCRA and the Town of Eatonville, Florida, authorizing to the TOCRA Board Chairperson to execute same, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Hey, you have heard the preamble?
question. I'm sorry, so we're gonna approve 2024-30 and terminate, to terminate 2023-2. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, of course, before.
Yeah, I have a question so I can better understand. So what we're doing with 2024-30 is a resolution to terminate, I see now, 2023-2, is that correct? Correct. Okay,
Yes, we're currently operating under an interlocal agreement, which is the 2023-2, which has to be agreed upon every year. And this resolution 2024-30 is to terminate that interlocal agreement.
We have a motion, please.
That's a question.
It was moved and seconded. All right, question, discussion. Board Member Mack?
For this particular, item here, with us terminating the resolution, without having the executive director in place, I know it's something that we do annually, so,
Yes,
of course, I wanna terminate the interlocal agreement altogether, but will we be able to come back to this particular item if we pass it? Sorry? I'm sorry, will it terminate what? This particular item right here for the interlocal agreement, if we, terminate it, will we be able to come back on a later date and change it to have?
If it's terminated, it's gone. And you could bring back the same thing again and reintroduce it if you chose to, but there's nothing to amend it. It's terminated unless it's back as an active document.
Yeah, because I'm in favor of terminating the interlocal agreement altogether. But I think that would be kind of difficult not having, the executive director in place. I would feel a lot more comfortable. I thought maybe we would have got through this process, but having one by now anyway, especially going over the 30-day process of having one in place anyway. So, my hands are tied, and what I want to do with this particular item, I know we need to function and move forward, but we're kind of put it like this at this time.
Is this interlocal, the interlocal that reimburses the town for expenses that are shared with the town in the CRA? Is that what it is?
Right.
So once it's gone, there needs to be something to replace it, or there's not gonna be any ability for the town to get reimbursed if money it advances that it can't.
My point is that that's why I pushed the issue of having an executive director hired almost immediately. And I think we've been sitting on our hands on this particular project. I don't know if it was, something, I don't want to, sit here and undermine anybody with something they hadn't intentionally done, but we're put in a position right now to, with a basket in the wall, if we do terminate it, we're gonna be in a bad situation. If we don't, it's something that I don't. I'm definitely not in favor of having, a local agreement with the town and the CRA that we should have our own separation. I definitely would approve this. It had to be from the past administration that approved this. It's something that I'm definitely not in favor of. So I guess we'll have to go to our conviction on, and we'll directly do. Paper the item if we could, and that's just something that we have a deadline on, is a deadline.
well, the last interlocal agreement was passed on September the 21st of 2023, which means we will be presenting another interlocal agreement
Yes, so it's the board could,
on or before that date.
the board could agree to table this item until further notice. Until
Executive representation for you?
yes, I want to executive director in place before we make a determination on making that, initially to terminate something.
Okay.
So if we can table the item, we then continue going by the guidelines that we've been going by, until we can further, have the interviews and hire someone and put someone in the executive director position. I think I'll be able to speak better at night. And it's only temporary, it's only like another month. Or maybe even before that, I think we're gonna be doing the process of hiring someone sooner than the 21st anyway, so even if we have to have a special meeting on, bringing this particular item back, that would be tabled if the board, wants to do that. I think that's something that will, I think that'd be the best educated decision to make at this time, my opinion.
And Chair, just in terms of calendar and date, the next CRA meeting is the 19th, which will still be before the date that this interlocal agreement would be null and void.
Yeah,
And based on the HR department, it is the goal to have someone confirmed by the next meeting.
okay, I'm good. So if this board can agree, on the table of this item, so that particular day, that'd be great. Or whenever the particular person is out, we can, whatever we move forward with. Whatever we need to do, maybe we're gonna deal with the situation in terms of who's a terminator or not terminated. So, doing that, doing separation, which is something that I'm in agreement with, but like I said, it just make me feel a whole lot, or at least having an executive director in place before making any decision based on terminating anything. Because we can't go back from it, we can, but I don't want to go down the, avenue of coming back to this particular item, and we can just take it and come back to it, and make our condition once we hire an executive director.
Okay, board member Daniels?
Question before. With hiring the executive director, is he gonna bring back a different, or he or she will bring back a different interlocal agreement? What would be the same?
We don't know.
I'm saying, like, the one we got here now.
Yes,
Is he gonna redo this and that guy?
I believe what was said, that it will bring this back when the executive director is hired.
And this interlocal agreement, 2024, 30? Or this is just a termination?
No,
Yeah.
2020
2023.
3-2. Or to terminate 2023-2.
Chair, I have a question. Did I hear, there's an expiration date, am I missing it? Did you say something about an expiration date?
Yes, on page 16,
Oh, I'm sorry, here.
it'll show you the date that it was passed and adopted.
21st September 2023.
So are you saying that without, there's an automatic termination? I mean, I still don't see the word expiration. Where
What-
is that in here? 'Cause I've never known resolutions to just have an expiration date unless it's stated in the document.
I know it's the practice of the town since I've been here in this particular role, and even with the former clerk, that there was always the interlocal agreement done annually.
Go on and on and on. Unless we specifically say there's an expiration, and the reason I say that, because if anything should happen, and we don't have someone confirmed in that, as that executive director, this is Washington's work stops. And you won't have anyone hired, because you wouldn't have an interlocal agreement to use the services of the town.
Yes. That is the plan.
And that-
everything
and-
else,
And that would be the same for the clerk as well.
right, they're saying. Yeah, but you see what I'm saying?
If I can piggyback,
And I was just saying because of the expiration date, because whether you table it or not, you're saying there's an expiration date, yes.
and to your point, an expiration date for the resolution or an expiration date for the agreement, because to your point, there is no language in this agreement, and y'all have more experience than me, but there is no language in the agreement that states that it does expire. So I understand that it might be, former practice of the town, but how can I hold y'all to that, accountable to that, if that's not in writing? And then if this does expire, to your point, and we have not, chosen an executive director, and you're saying that it does expire, what happens to those duties, shared or not? If we need something done, and the town has been in the practice of doing that for us. So if we do table it, which I'm not opposed to, I'm okay with that. Especially if it means we get a director in place, get some input and feedback, but if we don't. Where does it say that it expires? And then if it does expire, who handles these responsibilities?
especially if there is no executive director.
I think, go ahead.
It's in section one.
Section 1 of the resolution or the.
Agreement.
I think it's previously remain in effect till or unless terminated by each party.
Right. Right.
But no date, but no time frame, no 30 days, no 365 days, no fiscal year, no calendar year. Nothing to specify what that time limit would be for termination.
That would be the
There would
resolution.
be a 30-day notice on either side, the town or the CRA to terminate the agreement in writing in 30 days.
That would be to terminate, but
Yes.
the expiration of said agreement.
There's no
okay,
expiration.
Okay,
There's no expiration of the agreement.
it's just, according to Ms. King, it's just, you said it's, former practice, correct? That's
It is
the
former-
recent-
It is formal practice. The attorney is the one who, I believe, put this agreement together. There may have been some change in the language from previous interlocal agreements, but I know it has been the practice to put in an interlocal.
Attorney Shepherd, do you have any comments on this issue?
I want to tread lightly. You don't have to do it the way it's being done. You can have an interlocal agreement. And if you look at what the town is, town boundaries are the CRA. There's zero ability of the CRA to use town resources without an interlocal that allows the payment to be made back. That's the purpose. You can't use the services without the interlocal agreement, the town can't get paid back. So that's never going to change as long as the CRA boundaries are consistent with the town boundaries. So there's no reason to have to renew it because terms should always be the same. If we use this King for 10% of her time or 15% of her time for CRA work, we should be reimbursing 10% or 15%, whatever of her benefits. If we have community policing, that is a form of a town police person who works within a certain area of the CRA doing CRA stuff, we reimburse that person based on the interlocal. So while you can continue to renew them, I don't know what terms would be changing because the whole idea is pay back the town for the stuff you use.
Mhm.
So it could be a one to nothing.
But we've been down there, if I may, we've been down that conversation before, we wasn't here. We were dealing with so much, having to do with, town and CRA. It was somewhat derailed because of the, payment that we never received from the town. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is something else that I'm dealing with now in terms of the program that was associated with the, state of Florida that came through the town that's supposed to came through CRA, but that never happened. And those are the things that I'm trying to avoid. And mainly is because of the interlocal agreement that we're in now. And I understand we gotta run a business, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't have this in place when I sat up here as a board member or councilman. And we're having it now. So I think the separation is much needed. And the reason I asked to table this item is because the executive director that will be coming in will have an opportunity to say, you know what, if we choose to go, back to the separation, instead of doing an interlocal agreement, hey, what it is that you want to do, what's your vision? And, then the executive director, director, you want to go get your own accountant, you want to get your own team to run and function the CRA without the town, which would be something that I'm in favor of. That's what I'm in favor of. That's why I asked to table this item until we can come up with a better solution with hiring an executive director whenever that happens. I think it's gonna happen within the next week or so, hopefully, you know what I'm saying? So that's my determination right there to better suit the town and protect everybody, you know what I'm saying? I know interlocal agreements are good when you need them, but I also feel like the separation needs to be had with CRA on one side and the town on the other side, especially when it comes to budgeting and paying certain bills and things of that nature right there. That's just my opinion on that. And that's what we were when I last out up here, but a lot of things have changed since I've you know, been out of the seat for the last about 18 months, or close to 2 years, so.
Well, there's all of those are valid discussions to have. But the best reason to table it for today is if you take it away, then until you have a new one, you don't have the ability to use each other's staffs or reimburse one another. And so my suggestion would be, if you want to wait till you get an executive director, and as long as this doesn't have an expiration date, the existing one, it allows you to continue to reimburse one another for things that you use. CRA uses town employees, the town uses CRA resources, whatever the situation may be. Without an agreement, nobody's going to get paid from the other. Can't happen. And so if you want to wait to get the executive director hired, have him or her look at the situation, look at the agreement, see what makes sense, make recommendations to you, that's fine. I think in the interim, if terminating 2023-2 means you don't have any ability to reimburse yourself, that's probably not good.
Okay, thank you, Attorney, Board Member. Rich.
Thank you. And y'all can reel me in if I'm getting confused, but the way I'm reading the resolution that we're talking about, and this is just so that moving forward, I'm in the right space to make a decision. This resolution for 2024-30 is revoking the interlocal agreement and giving these powers to the executive director to hire, to contract out, to consult. Do I understand this correctly?
If there's a separation, which has to be passed by the board.
But I mean, in the resolution itself, it says that we're basically revoking it and authorizing the TOCA board chairperson to execute the same. So I'm assuming that the only thing that we're really changing is that we're not going to be cooperating or dealing with per se the town, and we're gonna have the chairperson doing these duties that we are collaborating with the town to do. Am I understanding the resolution as it reads?
Which was the original agreement before I got out of the seat. That was what we was doing.
And that is what this resolution is saying.
Apparently, it's an interlocal agreement that's involved with the town. Now, my thing is, I think we need to get away from that. Because of the fact of, you know, there's so much political things happening, you know, with both of them being tied in with each other. And I think that's kind of like, you know, add oil and water. I think we need to have a separation with CRA because it's a whole other entity within the town. Like I said before, you can have the town, but the CRA can't be here without the town.
No, I think I understand that. I think it's the wording in the resolution itself that's kind of conflicting for me. I'm just trying to make sure that if we vote to pass this resolution to terminate this agreement, that we are then giving the powers of this agreement to the chairperson of the board. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that, not why we have it or, you know, why we shouldn't have it or whatever. I just want to make sure that these responsibilities and these authorities and these powers via the resolution are being redirected to the chairperson. I mean.
We're somewhat in the difficult spot because of not having an executive director, if that makes sense. If we had one in place, this matter would have been addressed a long time ago in terms of the separation. But it's kind of hard to separate it when you don't actually have an executive director in place to fill those duties. You understand? So if we had someone in place to fill these duties, other than in a local agreement that's tied in with the town and the CRA, because before you had the CRA doing their own thing. You know what I'm saying? You know, the auditing, the budget, they had their own employees, they paid their own employees, and then come, well, on something. It just depends on what it was, planning, I believe, but, and, a nutshell, I believe you need to have an executive director in place to be able to solve these matters that I want solved in terms of just having separation. I said that from day one when I started up here, we need to have a separation instead of the interlocal agreement that we have now. But we're going to continue to have an interlocal agreement until this particular date. And then, like I said, we maybe hire executive director sooner than later.
Okay, so with that being said, then my follow-up question would be, is it possible to, maybe compare numbers? Because I'm assuming if we revoke the interlocal agreement and we go another direction where as the board or as the chairperson or the executive director is now delegating these authorities, that these people will have to be paid. And so if it's possible, I'm not sure who I should ask, if that's you, Ms. King, or if that's you, Chair Randolph, if there can be a side-by-side comparison of what those expenditures might look like if we do source these responsibilities outside of this interlocal agreement.
That would not be the responsibility of the clerk's office, but
Okay.
maybe that information can come from the finance department
Okay,
or the ones who are accountable to the CRA funding.
thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have. Thank y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I keep hearing the separation of CRA in town. What sense does it make to have, and I've always said this, I know the town and CRA have not, certain things have happened that I guess rubbed wrong. But why have two HR persons for, one for the CRA and one for the town? If we have a qualified, let's just say HR, for instance, we have a qualified HR person for the town. We can use it as CRA, we can use her, but we'll be paying her from the town. Correct. I'm asking it for.
That is their policies and procedures.
Right.
It's
But-
because they don't use the town's services or
Right.
human resources and they have to use the purchase.
Turning that local agreement, that's also in there.
Well, that's what happened through a local agreement.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, we trying to separate it. That's why I was confused, because I thought that this interlocal agreement that we had 24-30 replaced with 23-2. And we were still functioning at the time. I guess that's where my confusion comes in. That's why I asked with the new hire of the executive director. I thought he would just say, gonna keep it the same. Payments, town, if I use your, or you use mine. If I use yours, you use mine, then we will continue to work as a unit. That's why I thought this in the local, and after my get with my confusion come there, what will be different with the executive, with the director company?
Because you gotta think about it this way, all the, even though we get money from the federal level, Orange County, for the CRA, right? These funds have to be, incorporated properly into certain institutions for the banks. And if we have a separation with the bank in the town, I know in the past, set up the Whitney. We pay with CRA funds that shouldn't be getting paid with CRA funds that's associated with the town. Now, understand, we got bills to pay, it's a business that we're running. That's my point of trying to have a separation. I'm not trying to do it for any ill will part of it, I'm trying to actually protect us. If we are doing something, out of line, because we gotta think, we was in a position where we weren't even getting funds from Orange County because of having an independent board, for one. But we resolved that by going to having a regular board with the governing body. That's how we resolved that, boom. But with the different programs that we had with the state of Florida, we supposed to got a check annually that we didn't receive either. So those are the problems that we had continuously, and I don't want to continue going down the path of having these issues with us having these interlocal agreements. And not saying that you're gonna hide anything, but it's easier to hide something if you have an interlocal agreement. And, I'm trying to be trustworthy of the administration on doing their job, which I do trust them, but I still feel like we need to have a separation. And like I said that since being elected, that was one of the first things that I want to do is have a separation. But we gotta do it in a timely manner, of course, you know what I'm saying? But it's so unfortunate that we don't have an executive director at this time. And I think they'll be able to facilitate us on making better decisions on what it is that they necessarily want to do too, because they're gonna be the executive director that's gonna be functioning and running that particular institution. You know what I'm saying? Not, that entity within the town, which is the CRA. Now, I know we had the code enforcement on that side before, which is back on the town side, which I agree with. But, other scopes of work, I feel like need to be, within the grounds of the separation with the town and the separation with the CRA. Any other municipality you go to, we have some that have a local agreement, but for the most part, it's a separation. Am I right? Am I wrong, Attorney?
Are you saying are most separated?
I'm just saying, you got some that are separated, you got some that
Yeah.
are in a local
If
agreement.
you're asking by percentages, I would say maybe 5 to 10% have separate or independent boards. The vast majority are run by the elected officials.
Like I said, though, this is just my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own. I vote my own conviction. I've always gather my thoughts and want to have a separation other than just the, in a local agreement, but I don't want to hurt the town in any way possible, nor the CRA, because I know we're still in a position to even, come up with, the idea that we still have a CRA, before 2027. Hopefully it's extended. If it's not, we're gonna lose it anyway. So I think we just need to be a little bit more strategic and down our eyes and cross our T's and making decisions based off of, everything that's in front of us. And I know it's easier to do an interlocal agreement because it's there within the grounds, right? But I think if we have a separation, things could go a little different, you know what I'm saying? Because we're gonna have people doing different sorts of work, you know what I'm saying, different scopes of work also. So I don't wanna, like I said, the money has to be spent anyway, whether it's on the CRA side or not, that's what the money is appropriated for, to be spent on community redevelopment. You know, it's different with redevelopment and development. You gotta make sure that you're using that money properly. And I think if we put people in place by having the staff on the CRA side, which will associate with having more people to carry their load on the CRA side, even if you have to get to a point of hiring 1 or 2 more people for the time, you know what I'm saying, part-time or what have you, but I think we need to have something in place that has a CRA, regardless if you say 5% or not. I have to really do my homework on what you just said, in terms of just 5% of the municipalities have interlocal agreements together versus separate. Because as long as I've been sitting up here, I've always heard the language of CRA always been separate in the time. That's just my, that's what I think. But I could be wrong, but that's just what I get. So like I said, though, it's up to the board. I don't want to sit here and get them wrong about it. These are my opinions. I'm only one vote, I'm gonna vote my conviction. Whether we vote it up or down, that's what it's gonna be, so.
I just, for interpretation of language, looking at the 7th whereas, where it says the town clerk's office or designee or staff will handle record keeping minutes coordination. I know we're looking at tabling this, but in the near future, if the interlocal agreement is terminated, how will the clerk's office interface with CRA when the interlocal agreement doesn't allow for payment? Will I be consulted in? Am I paid separately? I guess for interpretation of that language, I would need to know, for clarity purposes, how the clerk's office is to interface with the CRA. So just wanted to put that out on the table, so when you all consider it in the future, how.
What was the previous, ordinance, there wasn't an interlocal agreement that we had in place? Because you remember when we had the CRA that was separated from the town, how did we go about doing that?
Well, when I came on as the clerk, there was an interlocal agreement, so I have never functioned as a clerk.
They haven't given a.
Well, I do know before I got here, the former clerk was on an interlocal agreement. Now, there may have been a period of time when they had the independent board that there wasn't an interlocal agreement, but I can't speak for that because I don't know how it functioned. But I do know when I came on the board, came on board as the clerk, there was an interlocal agreement in place.
Yeah, but it hasn't been here that long.
I can't speak to that.
But if you can, get the record. because,
Yeah.
You know, I don't wanna, sit here and do a, record request on trying to find out exactly when we started. I know it hasn't been here that long. And anybody that sits up here that has, and I know there's 3 people or 4 people that have been sitting here long enough to know how long the interlocal agreement has been here. I know the attorney hasn't been here that long.
I haven't been here that
know-
long.
I know you was the executive before to the mayor, but, I think you definitely need to do the homework and trying to find that out also. And like I said, though, these are things that have, been on my plate in terms of, what I want to do moving forward from the beginning. And like I said before, like I stated, I'm only one vote. I'm gonna vote my conviction, whether it's up or down, on how I feel about this particular issue right here. I think it's important. I think it's very important. And, I must say this also, just from, what we've gone through since the executive director that was here previously left, we haven't put anybody in place, which doesn't make any sense to me. I know we're vetting and we're doing things that is gonna be safe to bring someone that's gonna, better suit that position, but I think we've been sitting on our hands way too long anyway. Way too long. We got 30 applicants. Then we sit here and say we got a window of 30 days, but we've exceeded the 30 days on the 8th. What day it is? The 15th? So we 7 days over. And it's not to undermine anyone, this is not to undermine anyone, but if we're gonna, proceed to do things accordingly, we need to do it. We're sitting here against the 8 ball, trying to figure out if we're gonna even have, for long term, are we gonna hire one of those? You got 30 applicants, are we gonna hire one of them? So, I don't know, man, we just need to, position ourselves to be in a better position to, better, guide ourselves, to, move the town forward, man, from the CRA side and the town side. That's just my opinion about it, guys, but in a local agreement, I'm definitely not in favor of for more than one reason. But I definitely don't want to hurt the town in any way possible, nor the CRA. You know what I'm saying? We definitely don't want to continue digging a hole for the CRA because we already got somewhat of a bad reputation anyway. We can't seem to keep the executive director, so we're going to be heavy. I know one was immediately fired time. Another administration came into office, so we can't keep practicing that either. I know board member James. Well, I'm sorry, not board member, but board member Gardner was definitely speaking on the volume of having a supersede, which is something that I definitely would be in favor for. That way, you don't get rid of people as fast as you want to. If you don't like them or you have a personal issue with a particular person, even if they're doing a great job, people just seem to want to get rid of them. So if we can do the majority vote needs to go out the window and get a supersede of 5-2, I believe. But like I said, though, I'm only one vote now. So.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Real quick, because I think at some point we have to really let the things go in regards to that used to be from like $322,000 accumulated over a long period of time. That was back from 2002, and over time, that financial situation was occurring. And I think part of that is because there was no interlocal agreement. And money was being spent in trust for town services, but there was no accountability and there was no agreement for that to happen. I think that was the problem. There should have been an interlocal agreement. If I'm wrong, but there should always have been an interlocal agreement between the town and the CRA. In the past, 5, 6, 7 years, 5, 4, 3, past 5 years, I think that we've gotten it under control. The problem that's going to happen that I see is that separation of duties with the funding, because that was one of the problems. We didn't get the money back from the county, not back, the county did not release the funds because we went from, just because we went from independent back to the town +2. We also had to adopt the procurement policies of the town, but also update those procurement policies. And also we had to make certain, special events, how that money was, yeah, and accounted for in the end. There are other reasons. And I think we're in a much better place now. So to keep saying that we need to do this because of, not doing our due diligence, I don't think that's the case anymore. And for that to be strong, sometimes people say certain things in order for them to have their particular way. And I hope that we can let that part of the conversation go, because we're doing that, but we still need to have a separation of duties for the finalists. And if you just go to the CRA for the finalists, you're not gonna have that separation of duties, whereas right now we do have it with the town. Oh, I've always been a proponent of there being a CRA delegated fiscal coordinator. But we have but they can now work with the finance department, and you have the separation of duties. Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay. Well, thank you for receiving, information from everyone at the input.
It's not.
Mr. President, the board, the things like to the table. Is that it?
Yeah.
Table.
Need a motion? Motion to take it.
It was already motion moved and second. We just need to call for the question for the vote. I have Critton and Mac.
For the, table.
Right, thank you.
Yes, for,
Any discussion?
y'all just did the discussion. So it's, you call for the question and do the vote.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Any opposes?
So we have,
Then I will remember things. All in favor? The next time, number 5, you approve a resolution, CRA Board 2024-31, to approve the requirements for the special event on September 1st, 2024.
yes, resolution CRA-R 2024-31. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, Eatonville, Florida, Board of Directors approving special event funding in the amount of $2,000 for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Before you move, may I weigh in?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay. I sent to you all, and I think it was being also sent to you all, and I sent to Mr. Presley yesterday. Memo that I did back in, I think, 2020 for the Florida Redevelopment Association. And it was because in 2019, the statute that covers CRA expenditures that would have allowed something like this was amended. According to the Attorney General opinion, 2010 dash something, I forget the number, it's in the memo, you'll see it in there. Up until 2019, the Attorney General had opined that expenditures like this one would be okay as long as they were covered in the budget somewhere and budgeted for, as opposed to being pulled out later. So in other words, if you set up a budget that said, we're gonna spend, up to 10,000 on special events in the CRA area, and it was in the plan that we were gonna do this for marketing or whatever purposes, the Attorney General had said it's okay. And it was based on the fact that until 2019, the statute read, you could do all of these things, and this is key, including but not limited to. Well, because of that language, there were communities using CRA funds to put on rodeos, concerts, all kinds of non-CRA kind of stuff, which is primarily, and even in the 2010 opinion that said so, supposed to be bricks and mortar, i.e. something gets built, a sidewalk, a widened road, stormwater retention pond, new light fixtures, parking garage, that sort of stuff. In 2019, the legislature took out the words specifically, including but not limited to, and said, you can only spend it on these things. That's what the memo will point out to you. If you have a, you should be able to pull up on your devices if you have them, or otherwise we look at this, you know, see email tonight. That memo is not new. Again, I did it, I think 2000, I'm not sure, but it's stated. And I did it for the FRA that was distributed statewide. And because of that, as you read the memorandum, this kind of funding isn't permitted. Now, I tell you that because that's my job, tell you. But I also know I'm not the guy who usually sits in this chair. So for what it's worth, I have to put it on the record that I provided you that information. If you decide to do it anyway, then okay. But according to the law, as I see it, you can't.
Of course, you have can be if the board wants for anything. Set aside money within the budget to do that, we said now.
Can't do it. Because the things that were specifically targeted were special events and marketing budget. That's what the Attorney General previously said was okay, but only because of the including but not limited to language. Because even then, the statute said these are the things you can spend it on, and marketing wasn't in there, special events weren't in there. But that included but not limited to said, okay, well, then we can say this is under that list. But even in that opinion, the 2010 opinion, which by the way, it was written for the city of Sanford on behalf of their lawyer who asked this question. The other thing they wanted to do is give CRA funds to nonprofit organizations that work in the CRA to like for job training and things of that nature. And even then they said, that's the bridge too far. You can't spend money by giving it to nonprofit organizations, churches, whatnot, to try to do good things. That's not redevelopment. It doesn't qualify. But the marketing thing had always been sort of seemingly okay until 2018. But after that, that's why the FRA had to write the memo that I was so provided to all of you. So if you wanted to do it, you would be doing it without something I'm about to tell you as a possibility, but I don't think you get it. In contribution of what I believe the law to be, I am one opinion, but this is kind of what I do regarding the entire state of Florida. The way you can do it legally, and this community, one of the communities I represent, Fort Myers, is trying to do it because they had a lot of these as well. That they did. And I got there, similar to here, they had not gotten the memo, even though it had been sent. They had not, like the message had not lit up to them. There is a way under the statute, if you get an interlocal with all taxing authorities, close quote, that you should be to your CRA. In this case, I believe that would just be Orange County. So if you went to Orange County with an interlocal agreement and they agreed that it was okay to spend money on this kind of stuff, then you could. And in Fort Myers, their relationship with the Lee County is such that they think Lee County will approve it. It hasn't been approved yet, but it's on their agenda. It's supposed to be approved sometime in the month of September. The good news is if you were to try something like that, I've already got the agreement, all I got to do is change the name of the county and the other stuff. But it's not a big lift, but I significantly doubt that we would get Orange County to approve. Now, might it work? Don't know. You have to sort of politic it around. I mean, you'd have to contact county commissioners and say, what are your thoughts? Here's why I think it's important. There's some other reasons you might get support. But in the absence of interlocal, it is my very strong opinion that that can be done.
Very much for clarifying that. But this thing
Yeah, and I'm seeing the lights are going out. It might be the battery.
this event here It's the same or similar event that applies. I believe it was back in
May.
May.
Different.
Okay. The same or similar event came from the board. And was a success. However, we did get, attorney Jackson directed. The way it was presented. He said, my documentation that I attended the classes last year, year before, CRA classes, that I already said that we cannot do. And they gave us an example as to what happened in the city of San. Using CRA funds for special events, concerts, festivals, those types of things. Now, the only way that it would be permissible, and it is if you're having a CRA event, like say, you want to do something with housing or we have kind of like a CRA fair. People will come and they will get information on home improvements and things like that. They're not using it for leisure recreational activities. And these funds were spent on that, so that was not a good thing in this case for the board. I voted against it, and I'm still not in favor of it, because I don't think this is how I want it to be used. However, I say, if the board wants to do it, it's on the board, but I would not encourage it.
Yes, so to piggyback on your statement, I too was in that training, and I know that it was up for debate. And I remember when we came back from that training, it was a topic of discussion. If you'll reference your email, there should have been an email from Administrator Washington at the time that is dated June 20th of 2023. It also references that event in the city of Sanford and the opinion of the Attorney General from 2010, if I'm not mistaken, which is not after the 2019 that you just quoted. And if I'm not mistaken, in reference to last year's conversation, not what Attorney Shepherd just mentioned. In reference to that conversation, it was said that the opinion of the Attorney General was not law and that it was basically best practice, which is why the door was left open. If we can fast forward to the May special meeting that we had when we discussed this specific event, it was pitched to us by the then executive director that this would be a promotional activity. And it was said that it was a promotional activity because the CRA emblem was on the flyer for the event. It was also said at that meeting that we would then establish a line item for special events so that we could continue to have participation in such types of events. Furthermore, even in our plan, our 1997 plan, there is reference to PEC and the Zorno Hurston Festival. I remember that was a part of that discussion as well, us participating in that. And the bottom line came down to, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's in the plan, it's permissible, but refer to your counsel for legal confirmation. I'm only saying all of that to ensure that when we make our decisions, we make them understanding on the same page what information is being presented to us, whether it's from legal or an applicant, and to make sure that it is done right, because if we do continue with these types of events, we don't want it to be perceived as any sort of favoritism. We did it this way for this person, and then we changed up the game, and we're doing it a different way. So I would just ask that all of those things are taken into consideration when we decide to make that decision. That's all. What about the idea that, I'm turning this off. What about the idea that, can you hear me, Ms. King? Do you think I'm loud enough for recording the little feedback?
Yeah, you're loud enough.
Okay, there was also discussion to your point that if the CRA was promoting its programs and, things of that nature, like if there was a resource tent, or if the CRA was a resource vendor, then it might be, permissible. I think that was the referencing when you say, that, it was up for discussion. Because the only way that I was understanding that this was in any way with the school is if it was some type of promotional activities, and the reason that I'm referencing that is because that was how that vote was passed back in May. So I just wanna make sure for my own vote, that if we are going to move forward with special events, whether it meets the cultural and art category of the plan or otherwise, that is done uniformly across the board. And that we're not just saying it's this time and we're gonna say it's something else the next time, because that's definitely gonna be my question, because it does reference a line item where those funds are gonna be pulled from into the current treasury point that's just out of the air. So if we are going to move forward, I know we've been talking about the plan and et cetera, but I would like some clarity on how we're categorizing these types of functions. Because this is not the only, this is the whole application, official application that we've received, but we've also had citizen participation from other members of the community that will be looking for some financial support from the board to do their special event. I just wanna make sure that we're considering all of that and we get ready to make this decision. I heard that the last event was a great turnout. I heard they had a good time out there. I didn't get a chance to attend, but, I heard that it was supposed to have stimulated some economic development and catered to another portion of the CRA plan. But I just want to make sure that we all understand and are on the same page if we decide to.
Well, according to the request here, it says on page 21, it says that this investment will go towards securing quality entertainment, ensuring the development of delicious refreshments, and creating an environment atmosphere that celebrates the unique charm of people. And it goes on to say that we would like to request additionally for a stage setup for corporate lighting. So I believe that's not like what we
CRA language.
That's not what I say.
I'm here to say
That's what I'm trying to say.
But now it's just learning that this is not all.
Let me read this, because if I read it, I think it'll be real clear, okay? Because remember that it's the including but not limited to language that no longer exists, and it's been replaced with only language. So here's what it says. Effective October 1, 2019, monies in the redevelopment trust fund may be expended for undertakings of a community redevelopment agency as described in the community redevelopment plan only pursuant to an annual budget adopted by the Board of Commissioners of the Community Redevelopment Agency and only for the purposes specified in paragraph C. So what does paragraph C say? Administrative and overhead expenses directly or indirectly necessary to implement community redevelopment plan adopted by the agency. This isn't that. Expenses of redevelopment planning, surveys, and financial analysis, including the reimbursement of the government body or community redevelopment agency for such expenses incurred before the redevelopment plan was approved and adopted. This is that. The acquisition of real property in the redevelopment area, not that. The clearance and preparation of any redevelopment area for redevelopment and relocation of the site occupants within or outside the community redevelopment area as provided in 163-370. It's not that. Number 5, the repayment of principal and interest on any redemption premium for bonds, advances, loans, anticipation notes, and any other form of indebtedness. Not that. Number 6, if they're on the 8, all expenses incidental to or connected with the issuance, sale, redemption, retirement, purchase of bonds, bond anticipation notes, or other form of indebtedness, including funding of any reserve, redemption, or other fund or account provided for in the ordinance or resolution authorizing bonds. That's not it. 7, development of affordable housing within a community. Nope. Development of community policing innovation. Nope. Then the last one, expenses that are necessary to carry out the powers granted by 163-370. That's the only where it could be, so you have to then go to 370. I've been through it. They're all listed. This isn't in there. There's no place that marketing and special events is permitted by law. And that was only allowed previously because of the language that said included but not limited to, because it was never in there. But that little included but not limited to, the Attorney General said, well, if it doesn't say no, it says no.
Attorney, Chairman, thank you for keeping me on check. All right, so let's, identify number 5. This is still, up here on the table.
Yeah. I think we should take the item.
It's illegal. Okay, a motion for resolution 2024-31 for approval of special funds for a special event in September. Motion,
So moved.
second? Sure. All right, we already discussed, unless you want to discuss it more. If not, let's go. All those in favor? Any opposed? Nay.
I need to do a roll call. Director Matt,
All right.
Director Daniels. Chair Randolph. Director Williams. Huh?
Nay.
Director Gardner. And Director Crick. Thank you. It fails.
Self-reports.
I have nothing because I probably won't be back. Until there's a signature of it.
Okay.
No report.
The only thing I have to say tonight is happy birthday to you.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of back on that, and everyone can come out this weekend as we celebrate.
Oh, happy birthday to Tommy Bill. This is one of my brother's days of the year, celebrating, the historic Tommy Bill on such a special occasion. 27 men had a vision, and, of course, they left it in our hands, so hopefully we can continue going on the path of doing what's right. That's my report.
I reported what there is St. Mark's birthday is also. You all know that there are, church, which really came together and talk of church. So the same thing for the church, one to keep everything the same. So we did 1881 August 15th, and we kind of want to do 7 August 15th. So that's a little bit of history now, we know a little bit more about how that happened. I do want to say that my experience in the last month, trying to, administering and doing things that we, at office, very challenging. And, I will have a more detailed report next time, and I think you all will be aware. A lot of the programs that we have, the PPP program, the, demolition program, those two specifically, right, now we're working on, there's just some issues that we're just trying to make things better to improve. What we found out is that we do have applicants, but there's too many roadblocks, that people are not able to, they qualify, but basically a lot of our seniors are having problems finding their fees. Call another agency that has the same exact program. And it's much easier to go. They don't need to have, all these pre-bids, because that's what our instructions, people get pre-bids. A lot of our residents are having problems trying to get bids for people to come to the bid. So it's just little things we're gonna put together. We've already worked on one of them, so we're gonna come back and bring them those and kind of go over those things with us. But I think the programs are great. It's just that we just need to get rid of some of the bugs that we have. That's holding up. And we do have quite a bit of money in the CRA, but we do need to utilize those funds. And I can tell you, the mayor being the chairman of the board, actually attest to that when there's only money and we're really using the funds. So we don't want to be in jeopardy of not getting the money, maybe have to return the money back. So that's where we are. Also, I just want to mention about the club right quick. Today, this is why we're trying to find plans for the club. The old plan you're regularly nice, but it's not the original plan that the 1947. So we took these plans today, we made copies of them, so that way we brought the original plans back, these are the plans. And this one announced something to work with, but before we have anything to work with. So we still got some issues right now that we're trying to move forward, so we got some of the, better information, building off that. So I think right now the next step is to get the architectural design. So he's trying to work with that. He's been communicating that it's already trying to get some leeway as far as that's concerned. I just want everybody to know that I appreciate everything the staff has been very cooperative and making this a lot of people don't want to make everyone we have 3 people who say this is the president. This is trying to get along and problems we want. And I want to tell you that I really have to go through certain communities like this president, because he's been very aware of some of the things that we want to face like this kind of thing. And so just having this opportunity is not like it's escaping the top. I'm usually there every single day, sometimes I'm there longer hours and do it from there. So it's not like I've been going there to be there. There's work that needs to be done. There's people who's calling, people coming by, unannounced, those kind of things. I need an application for this, I need an application for that. So just trying to make things more better for all of us, so that we can get into this kind of future things that have already been discussed. So I want to thank you all very much. So, other than that, I have nothing else. And Mr. Johnson, thank you very much for reminding me about the budget. If there's anything we need to cover, we can probably do that in the next week, September. So I think bring and this is key.
Yes, you just brought something. The budget has to be approved on the third Monday in September. So if the CRA needs to approve the budget, it has to be done before then. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think the first hearing is on the first Tuesday in September, and the second hearing is on the third Monday in September. So,
If you don't mind. He said, right before that first hearing,
mhm.
then the town of Houston is part of that budget as well. So so, you know, maybe the word here, we put it right before that Tuesday meeting. It is part of the first hearing.
September 3rd.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, yes. Just go ahead and sit there, you can, you know. Yeah, I can do this now. Okay, thank you very much.
Move for adjournment.
Let's put a motion on the floor.
Motion.
So move.
So moved. Second. Second. All right. Thank you very much.
It's 8 o'clock.
Oh, enjoy your weekend.
You too.
I will go.
You too.
I don't know.